So if you watch the show, you know I love to marinate in Ziploc bags because it just keeps it less dishes to wash and less messy. So first thing I'm gonna do is get the tenderloin that's been in this wonderful jerk marinade. Oh, Anne's reminding me to spray the grill. All right, better do that or else I'm gonna get in trouble. And that is a good idea. They've come out with a grilling spray now and it really does work well. So I'm gonna get this tenderloin cooking and then we're gonna take a step back and show you how to make this marinade. Okay. And then you discard the marinade. Once we're done with it, we're done. Throw it away. So first things first, we're going to make a great jerk marinade that will give your pork, or if you did this with chicken, it would work fine too, some really nice flavor. One of my favorite places to vacation is in Jamaica. My family, we try and go once a year, and we don't go the all-inclusive route. We actually normally rent a house. And a lot of the homes there, as a tradition, come with a cook. We're talking not about a fancy chef, we're talking about a home cook, a mom or a grandma, and they have the most amazing Caribbean and Jamaican recipes. So I always try and get in the kitchen, sneak a little bit, and see what they're doing. And everybody in Jamaica has a different way to do jerk seasoning. So this is kind of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You can't imagine how much stuff goes into this. So it's not like they just take a shaker and shake jerk seasoning, you know, or the meat or the chicken. No, there's a lot going on. So in this case, we're going to make it pretty simple. They do it by hand in Jamaica. They'll, you know, take all the vegetables and chop it up by hand, but I'm looking for shortcuts, so I'm going to do it right in my blender. So the recipe starts out with some scallions or green onions. I'm just going to roughly chop this. And by the way, if you're looking for this recipe, now you're going to be able to find some of my recipes at Super Ron's in Pulaski, and this one will be there, so go pick it up. Of course, you can also get it online. So we'll start with some scallions. They use a lot of scallions in Jamaican cooking, and then some onion, red or yellow, whatever you have. And it doesn't have to be perfectly diced because the blender is going to do the work for us here. We've got some garlic. I've got some fresh thyme. They use a lot of thyme in Jamaica. So I'm just going to, you know, you don't even really have to, if a little bit of the stem goes in there, it's not the hugest deal because, again, the blender is going to do most of the work here. If all you have is dried thyme, that'll work fine too, but man, there is nothing like fresh thyme. Smells amazing. So a few sprigs of that. Actually, the last house that we rented over spring break, the cook, or the griller, the master griller, was a guy. His name was Larson. I'll have to show pictures of you sometime. And oh, his jerk ribs and pork chops and chicken was out of this world. Some of the best. Now we're going to do some fresh ginger. So there's more than just heat in really good jerk. There's a lot of different flavors going on. So fresh ginger is just, what I like to do is either use a vegetable peeler or a knife and just get rid of this outer skin. Oh man, I love the smell of it. And then just take a little bit of it off and kind of chunk it up. And again, the blender is going to do most of the work. This is really strong in flavor, so a little bit will do ya. Throw some of that in there. And then you got this whole big hunk of ginger. What are you going to do with it? Wrap it up. It'll stay in your fridge or in your freezer for, in your fridge a few weeks, in your freezer even longer than that. There's no way you're going to use that whole thing right away. Oh, Anne, this is starting to look good. Anne, how was your weekend, by the way? Good. Anne is all excited. She got a new mattress. And I know there's nothing like a new mattress. It's so great. So now we're going to do some soy sauce. And you can get the full recipe online or at Super Ron's. Some white vinegar. Pinch of salt. A little bit of pepper. A little bit of brown sugar. I told you there was like a bunch of ingredients in this. We've got cinnamon. We've got allspice. Nutmeg. Yum. And some vegetable or canola oil. Now, let's talk a little bit about the heat. Well, in Jamaica, the pepper that everyone uses there is Scotch bonnet pepper, and oh my gosh, it is fantastic because once again, it's not just about heat, it's just got an amazing flavor. It's hard to come by Scotch bonnet peppers here in the United States, so best sub for that, habanero pepper. Warning, be really careful with these, they are hot, so if you want it super hot, you can leave the seeds in, but we're just going to kind of maybe leave some of the seeds in, depending on how hot you want it. Do not touch your eyes after working with these babies. And those Scotch bonnets, oh, I love them so much, but they are fiery. And then we're going to do a little bit of water. We can always add more if we need it. This isn't going to be a super thin marinade, but you don't want it real pasty either. So perfect. And if you're still seeing some of the chunks of the peppers and the onions, that's just fine. So we've got pork tenderloin. This marinade will be enough for 2 pork tenderloins, or about 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of pork tenderloin. Just want to give this another flip so that we're searing all sides. So we'll go into the bag, and as I said, if it's a little bit chunky, that's just fine. Oh wow, it smells so good, I can't even tell you. And the important thing is to really kind of give this a massage and get it in there. And in Jamaica, they like to marinate all day long or overnight to really get that flavor in there. So you could do this in the morning if you're having a bunch of people over. You can, double, triple the recipe, or the night before, even better. So park it in the fridge, and then get it out of the marinade and let it grill. Now, this is going to, like I say, have some heat to it, and I love spicy foods, I really do. But the fun part about this recipe is we're going to do a fresh mango salsa to kind of cool it off just a little bit. So it starts with, and in Jamaica, mangoes in mango season are incredible. I start my day every morning there. It's one of my favorite things about vacation is the fresh fruit that you wake up to in the morning. So it starts with some fresh diced mango. And if it's not in season or you can't find it these days, it's really nice because they actually have mango sliced up and in a jar. It's refrigerated in the produce section, and it's actually very good stuff. So we've got some fresh mango. I've got some red pepper just for a little bit of color here. And it's good for you, and it not only looks pretty in this salsa, but it tastes really good. This you can make ahead morning of, say you're doing a cookout, and this would be so great for a cookout, by the way, if you're kind of burgered and brought it out, just craving something different. This is a really nice recipe for that because you can get the pork all marinated, or chicken if you want to do the same recipe for chicken, it'd work fine. You can get the salsa made morning of, and then it's just a matter of firing up the grill and plating it up. We're going to do just a little bit. You don't have to. You could leave it out. A little splash of rum. That's just going to kind of work together and get the juices flowing from the mango. A little bit of fresh lime juice. And then a little bit of fresh cilantro. So very simple. If you don't like cilantro, and I know some people just cannot do it, I don't understand, but I still love you people. No, I'm just kidding. Fresh Italian parsley would also work. Mint or even basil would be fine. So give that a rough chop. And now our salsa is done. And so I'm just going to let my pork, 145 is the number you're looking for. That's the internal temperature. You don't have to cook pork forever and a day. And pork tenderloin when you slice it up, can be pink inside. Don't be freaked out over that. You know, we used to cook pork growing up, so it was like shoe leather. One of the keys to having pork be nice and juicy is marinate, marinate, marinate. Don't overcook it. 145 is the magic number you're looking for the internal temperature, and then get it off the grill, let it rest before you slice it up. And then I always like to serve pork with some sort of a sauce because it tends to be dry anyway because it's such a lean cut of meat. So a sauce really helps. So that's why I love this recipe so much. So we're almost there. I can kind of tell by feeling it. So when we come back, we'll plate it up in just a little bit and then toss some of this mango salsa over it. So we're chilling out on today's show. If you're staying in Wisconsin to vacation this summer, we are going to tell you some fun stuff to do that you might not know about. So stick around. That's next.